Independence Restoration Day. This important date invites a reflection on the long and complicated path towards building peace, equality, and justice. The role of media in this path is undeniable. It helps us make informed decisions and holds those in power to account. It provides life-saving information during a national disaster or emergency. But more than that, the media is what helps us make sense of this world and of our role in it. It is largely through media that we can understand and relate to each other. This is why representation matters and why media needs to be free from political, business, or personal interests. We need media that serves all segments of society, in which everyone, especially the most marginalized, can recognize themselves and voice their concerns. We need media that contextualizes the national and global challenges without leaving us hopeless, but making us feel aware and empowered. Timor-Leste has made commendable achievements towards building an enabling environment for public interest media. But as you all know too well, this path too is long and complicated. The media in Timor-Leste, as in the wider region and all over the world, are facing serious challenges. The economic crisis of media, which has been exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic and has led to the closure of many media outlets, loss of jobs, and communities that are now referred to as news deserts. Attacks against journalists, particularly women journalists, at times using new legal mechanisms or digital tools, such as targeted surveillance, hacking, or doxing, the growing public mistrust and disengagement from news, the spread of hate speech, and online disinformation. There are unfortunately no quick fix solutions to these threats, but we certainly need everyone at the table: the newsrooms, technology companies, governments, donors, international organizations, to chart a viable path forward. The stakes are simply too high for us not to try our very best. Distinguished guests, it is not my intention to leave you with a message of doom and gloom. There are reasons to be hopeful and opportunities to be seized. At UNESCO, we have recently published a collection of inspiring media initiatives from around the world entitled "After the Pandemic, Building Back a Stronger Media." It is available for free online, and it showcases success stories from around the world about experimenting with new business models, building collaborations interregionally for investigative journalism, and piloting entrepreneurial journalism education. This collection is a testament to the tireless energy, resilience, and courage of journalists around the world. In Timor-Leste, UNESCO has been engaged with the media since 2011, when we first undertook a media development assessment. Since 2017, with the support from the Netherlands, we've been working closely with the Press Council, the Association of Journalists, and the Department of Social Communications at the National University of Timor-Leste to facilitate capacity building, peer-to-peer learning, and support public awareness-raising activities, such as this one. This project has benefited over 1,000 media actors, including close to 500 young journalists and journalism students. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the government of Netherlands for their support. We are greatly encouraged by the enthusiasm and dedication of the Timorese media to better serve their public. Today, I would like to tell them UNESCO is committed to supporting you. With this, I thank you and wish you fruitful deliberations. Obrigada, Barak.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Anna. Southeast Asia Press Council Network, CPCNet, as the result of the Dili Dialogue Forum Recommendation 2019. So let's see the opening remarks by Professor Dr. Ajumardi Azra, CPCNet Chairman, and Indonesia Press Council Chairman through virtual.
Se virtual Husi, Professor Dr. Muhammad Dezli, desculpa, Ajumardi Azra.
cuma nyebut nama saya doang, tapi belum dipersilahkan. Halo? Halo? Ini warnanya jadi begini, ini kenapa?
Lancar perbaiki dulu itunya.
Kenapa warnanya jadi begitu, Mas?
Halo. Halo, good morning.
Very good morning.
You may start.
You mean I'm Professor Azra should start now? Can I start now or what? Or just wait?
Yes, you can start now, please.
Very good morning, ladies and gentlemen, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, let me introduce myself to you. I am Azumadi Azra, Chairperson of Indonesian Press Council, based in Jakarta. I would like first to thank, of course, His Excellency President of the Republic of Timor-Leste, Mr. Ramos Horta, that I met a few weeks ago in Jakarta, and also Mr. Virgilio da Silva Guterres, we met also in Jakarta a few days ago, and of course Mr. Rigoberto Monteiro, Executive Director of DDF and Chairperson of Press Council of Thailand, Cebu, Myanmar, and ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to congratulate the Timor-Leste Press Council for this successful dialogue, Dili Dialogue Forum. I am very sorry I cannot come to Dili because of travel restriction from Indonesian government. So I am very happy to join you through this online meeting. I'm not going to talk very long, but if we talk about the challenges of media or press in now, particularly in Southeast Asia, at least we have a number of challenges. The first one, of course, challenges of digitalization. In the last few years, digitalization has created a lot of problem among mainstream media, printed and also television. Now many viewers, many readers move to social media rather than what we call as conventional media, that is printed media and also television. So now we need to consolidate our institution, our media institution, and also we need to consolidate, of course, our journalists, because now quite many media institutions have to be closed down. So they have to limit the number of journalists, the limit of the staff, to limit, and in fact, some of them have to lay off their journalists. They have to close down. So again, we need to consolidate this, this disruption of this because of digitalization. Secondly, I think we need also to consolidate our media, our press, in this part of this world, particularly in order to play a greater role in the consolidation of democracy. Because, of course, Southeast Asia is one of the areas where democracy actually is still consolidating itself. Even though, in the case of Indonesia, the democracy was introduced after the reform, the introduction of reform with the resignation of President Suharto from his long-held power of more than 32 years. So, but of course, there has been also some suggestion from international and national agencies that our democracy in this area of the world has to be reconsolidated in order to also, of course, to give a greater freedom of speech, freedom of aspiration, freedom of expression. There is still a lot of restriction, and there is still a lot of course, violation against the journalists, yeah, including, of course, in Indonesia. Probably not in Timor-Leste, but in Indonesia, we still have a problem with the increased violence on the journalists. So again, we need to resolve this. We need to respond to this, and we need, of course, to strengthen our networks in Southeast Asia in order to be able together to respond to the challenges that I mentioned earlier. So again, I would like to congratulate the Timor-Leste Press Council for this Dili Dialogue Forum. I wish you success in your deliberation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Ajumardi Azra, for your opening remarks. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's our honor to have the President of Democratic Republic of Timor-Leste, His Excellency Dr. Jose Ramos Horta, to deliver a keynote speech. And afterward, we would all like to request the President to officially open the Dili Dialogue Forum 2022.
Please. Good morning. I will save time from protocol greetings because in Timor-Leste we have this very noble tradition of greeting everybody from the president to the driver, which I totally agree, but sometimes it's time consuming. And because there are foreign guests here, and I do not trust the interpretation, and sometimes I listen, and someone is saying something and the interpreter is saying something else, either because the interpreter doesn't agree with what the speaker is intellectualizing about, or he belongs to some other political party. So I prefer to speak directly in English to you. Welcome foreign guests who come from afar, and congratulations to the National Press Council. Virgilio Guterres, apart from being who he is, he's a former, he was a candidate for president. So all these years he has been using this platform very well. And now he's aiming for 2027. Completely fair. Why not? And the title, The Challenge in Timor-Leste and Southeast Asia, well, our Timorese media would be the best people to talk about the various aspects of the challenges and the challenge in Southeast Asia. I'm generally familiar with, as I'm familiar with the challenges in the United States, in Europe, Latin America, but you know, I'm not an academic to talk about these issues at length. The best speakers or the best witnesses, testimonials could come from Timorese journalists for the reality of Timor-Leste. And we will listen to you on the challenge in Southeast Asia. Unfortunately, I won't be able to stay long because I have 11 o'clock Zoom appointment that I have to address. I would prefer, just particularly for the benefit of our guests who might not be very familiar with Timor-Leste, where we are now. I would like to clarify, you know, in our constitution we have 4 languages, 2 official, Tetu, the national language, and Portuguese, but also it provides 2 working languages, Bahasa Indonesia, which is spoken maybe by 40% of the people, maybe more, maybe less. I'm not up to date on the figures. In any case, very substantial. And the English, increasing percentage. And even Korean, of course, much less. I know a girl, she's now 9 years old, but I know her since she was much smaller. She speaks fluent Korean. I asked her, wow, how do you speak Korean? Did you go to school? She said, no. I watch Korean television, Korean music, and so on. And I told her, okay, one of these days I take you to meet the Korean ambassador. And so she's very excited, looking forward to meet the Korean ambassador. This only to say Timorese are very good with languages. I know I've been all over the world, literally, and if you go to the United States, well, most people speak English, and that's about it. You go to Australia, about the same. Those who speak more than one language are rare species. And in Timor-Leste, you can find a Timorese who speaks 7 languages, some 10, but more commonly 3 or 4 languages. The local traditional language from the community, from the region, then Tetu, almost everybody speaks Tetu, more than 80% speak Tetu, and Bahasa Indonesia, Portuguese, increasing numbers, and English is increasing numbers. And then in between, many who studied medicine in Cuba, studied medicine here in Timor-Leste under Cuban doctors. Thousands of them speak very good Spanish, and many thousands speak Korean language, and even Chinese. We have Timorese students who study medicine in China and study in Chinese language. So Timor-Leste will be probably the most polyglot country in whole of Asia. So that is the cultural, linguistic makeup of Timor-Leste. As you know, we are rated by Freedom House in Washington as the best functioning democracy in Southeast Asia, #1 in Southeast Asia. Although some cynics, some sarcastic friends of mine in the internet, they say, well, Mr. President, with the kind of neighbors you have, it's not difficult to be #1. Maybe so. I don't comment on that. I just know that Freedom House rate as #1. in democracy. And Reporters Without Borders international rating put Timor-Leste at 17. And I think it's better ranked than United States, than Australia, and many other established Western democracies. But the real challenges that we all face comes from what is inevitable. So we are now living in the so-called fourth industrial revolution. And if we look at the history of industrial revolution, which started in England in the 1700s, it took forever decades to transition from one industrial revolution to another, to the second, to the third. From the third to the fourth, it was fast. Now we are transitioning from the fourth to the fifth. And it means only that human-owned innovative thinking, ingenuity, creating more and more freedom, independence for each and everyone, with all the risks associated with it. I give you some concrete examples. Many, many years ago, when a newspaper, whether Australian newspaper, Portuguese, or New York Times, they write something factually wrong, misleading about my country, well, or our struggle, I would have to write a letter to the editor, and the editor either sometimes, often they ignore, or they have their rules, or no more than 100 words, and then they edit it out. So you have to literally beg the established newspapers, you know, Sydney Morning Herald or Age or New York Times, they have departments. So you write the letter to the editor of letters department. And then you have 2 paragraphs. Publish, God, that is, everybody celebrate that success. Well, nowadays I don't even bother. I don't even bother because my Facebook has a bigger reach than most of these newspapers. So I just go to my Facebook and I write something in response to, because I'm not going to honor the journalist or the academic by you know, spending time going through their. So these are the positive things but at the same time, and positive thing in that individuals, young people, poor people, no money, shut off from the international web, not shut down from the international media before. People in somewhere, anywhere in Southeast Asia, an NGO, a human rights advocate, or a farm leader would have difficulties to share their concerns, their dreams with people in the faraway capital, let alone with the world. Well, now we know instant news. Anything that happens anywhere, you just need a phone. And if you are creative enough, within minutes, it becomes viral with millions of people. I share with you a small story that happened with me. I was totally shocked. At the time, in 2015 or 16, I was the chair of a UN panel called High-Level Independent Panel on UN Peace Operation. And that was established by Ban Ki-moon And I was invited by Ban Ki-moon and to chair this panel. And we conducted meetings around the world. One such meeting was in Cairo. And even though I was at the time employed by the UN, and the UN has some strict rules that I cannot write personal opinions, well, I ignored that all the time, because when I was Under Secretary General, the Special Representative or Secretary General in Guinea-Bissau, well, I saw the boring official page of the UN, completely boring, no one reads it because too boring. And I had my website, and my website was much more read by the people in Guinea-Bissau. And so as chair of the UN panel, I continue with my Facebook account. I wrote a story. I was sitting at the hotel right above the Nile, the mythical Nile, and I started reflecting on the history of Egypt, of the region, and I published it posted in my Facebook. Well, in the following days, I saw the numbers: 400,000, 800,000, 1 million, 2 million, 4 million. At the time, I had a young Facebook manager, and I contacted him. João, check my account. I think something wrong. I see, so many numbers going up. By the time I contacted him, it was already 4 million. He said, no, it's nothing wrong. People are reacting to the story. And I end up reaching 12 million on a simple story, not very political. I talk about the Nile, Egypt. I talk about the danger of the Ethiopian Grand Renaissance Dam with all its potential economic, potential environmental consequences, and the potential conflict with Egypt. I talk about Middle East, but without being judgmental. Well, something like that would never happen, in the conventional traditional media. If something like that I submitted to the New York Times, Sydney Morning Herald, or Le Monde, they say, well, that's not really of great interest to us. And if they did publish, I wonder how many people would have read. So this is one advantage, but also there are, we know, I don't go into that, the dangers of the destabilizing societies, instigating violence. Many of the problems in Myanmar, before that, or in Sri Lanka. If we go further back, the genocide in Rwanda, of course, it was not social media, it was electronic media, radio at the time. If you go back to the problem in the Balkans, particularly in Serbia, it was radio, media, used by the Serbian regime, Milosevic, that instigated the anti-Muslim violence in Bosnia, etc. So you can multiply this many times with the facilities that we today have. One challenge that Timor-Leste has, like many other conventional media, is that for Timor, we are a small economy, very, very small economy. And we have many newspapers, many more now online media. And they're all very effective, very dedicated people, and so on. But everyone struggling to survive. They have a very, very little economic incentives, possibilities, but they seem to enjoy, to love their work. So earning miserable salaries with miserable equipment, They're all cranky motorbikes, sometimes without brakes. Off they go to cover any story in the country. I have the greatest admiration for them. Sometimes they make up stories, sometimes they exaggerate, sometimes they misquote you, politicians get angry, but if the politician complain, then they further exaggerate and say, the politician threatened me. Well, he didn't threaten, he just complained. and so, I don't tell who happened. A few years ago, one very senior politician was very angry that a journalist completely misrepresented what he said. He said he was going to call him. I said, listen, don't. If you call the editor, he's going to say, you call and threaten him. He will lie, because he will be complaining just, but the next day he will say, so-and-so threatened me. So don't call him, just forget about it. And he listened to my advice. In that regard, I'm totally sympathetic anyway with some of these sometimes childish, irresponsible activities of our journalists. But I often say, if our politicians also make mistakes, actually all the time, when a politician, a leader make mistakes, it can have a grave consequence for the whole country. But when a journalist make a mistake, well, there's hardly any consequence. Only a few people get upset about it. So why, we all get so upset, all criticize the media for making these mistakes? Well, just look at and I'm not saying which government, every government, look, all the mistakes we have made. Projects that went wrong, investments that went wrong. In the process, we lose tens of millions of dollars. Well, let the journalists also make mistakes. It only makes some people angry, upset, nothing else. So it's all part of our country. So that's our society, our country. I'm very proud of that. I agree completely with Reporters Without Borders ranking Timor-Leste as the freest in Southeast Asia, number 17 in the world, and the best democracy. Well, that I don't know the best democracy or not. Depend how you define best democracy. For me, a best democracy is one that actually deliver goods to the people, deliver on the program, on the budget, and so on. Timor-Leste, to end, summary, at age 20, we are doing very, very well. At the age of a country, and from where we started, we are doing very well. With all the mistakes we have done all these years, some setbacks, but when you judge a country age 20, and with the starting base that of Timor-Leste, having been myself personally in 135 countries in the world, some, of course, I just went there, airport to the hotel rush to the foreign ministry, and so on and so on. So, but some I know too well, dozens of them, because when I go to a country, I study. Before I go, I study whichever it is, their history, their politics, their tribes, or their societies, whatever. And we are not doing bad in comparison. This is an oasis of tranquility. We have zero political violence, zero ethnic or religious-based violence. We do not have a organized crime, at least Timor-based, Timor-origin organized crime. Maybe we don't have organized crime because generally we are a bit disorganized as a country. So even our criminals are not organized. And the police catch the criminals easily when they want to. Because instead, you know, when some individual steals something, instead of stay quiet about it, you know, they start boasting about it in the neighborhood. And everybody here heard what he stole, a laptop. And then the police shows up, because it has happened. I have been witness to this. A friend of mine from Hong Kong set up office in Dili. You know, he bought basic things, computer, laptops, and all of that. Within 48 hours, he got everything stolen. I asked, did you report to the police? He said, I did. Don't worry, you will get this back. Well, 2 days later, he told me he recovered everything. Well, precisely because these people, instead of staying quiet, they start celebrating in Jakarta or and then police was alerted. Anyway, this is just a human part of our story, Timor story. I thank you first to Virgilio, in spite of I know your intentions in hosting all these conferences. Sorry, no, I'm joking a bit. But he's a very good man and very serious with integrity. And I cannot say I will support him in 2027, but because we will see, you know. And thank you here to all our foreign media who are represented over here. Thank you for taking the time to come, Madame from UNESCO, to taking the time. I don't know if you came from Paris or Jakarta. If from Jakarta, not too far. But those who came from further afar our appreciation for joining us in this great little town. And I notice the ambassador of Portugal is here, and the ambassador of Indonesia is here. Thank you both for coming, and I don't know if there is any other ambassador here, but I think I recognize the two. And enjoy the time in Dili, and wish you a very fruitful discussion. I won't be able to listen to others, but I will read, as always, all the speeches that will be delivered here when I receive them. I thank you.
Obrigado a Emba Sua Excelência, Presidente da República. Minha discurso, a favor, beleza.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Before we're going to coffee break, we would like to invite His Excellency, the President of the Democratic Republic of Timor-Leste, Dr. Gera Muzorta, to come forward for the photo session with all the experts from Thailandia, Myanmar, UNESCO, and we also would like to invite all the members from Timor-Leste Press Council. You may come forward to have the photo session. Afterward, there will be a handing souvenir as a gift from Myanmar from Thailand to His Excellency, the President of Democratic Republic of Timor-Leste. So please give a big round of applause. So thank you very much. That's the session.
Obrigado para a sessão foto. Tu irmã também leva café mana siha salão na apuramento nacional.
Now it's coffee break time. So we'd like to invite Excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please have a coffee break on another hall downstairs. And we do hope that you all enjoy. After the coffee break, you may